Hello everyone, my name is John, and a few months ago I got really inspired by a few pieces of media. John Carpenter's The Thing, Fear of Code by Jacob Geller, and a video on the USSR Antarctic vehicle. In the past, I had joined a few game jams, created some prototypes, and even made games for my university projects whenever I had a chance. But I had never made a full game from start to finish, so I decided to take all that inspiration floating around in my head and I started to develop a small horror game, where you explore a frozen wasteland, experience the story, and try to survive the freezing cold by keeping your vehicle functional. I have been working on it on my free time for a while, and wanted to share what I made up until now. Once I had a basic design doc and a plot outline, the first thing I did was to get on Blender. 3D modeling was something I always wanted to learn, and I decided it would be nice to start here so I could have some visual elements ready when I actually started to program the mechanics. The original Antarctic exploration vehicle I based the model on is mostly made of very simple geometric shapes, so it was a nice first project to learn the ropes. I made a rough sketch of the exterior, added detailing, and textured it using few materials that I put through a filter to get that pixelated look. I then started working on the interior and the props. I took a lot of creative liberties when compared to the actual tank during this part, so I'd have enough space inside the vehicle for all the gameplay ideas and interactions I had in mind. I wanted the player to feel a little claustrophobic to increase the horror factor, but I didn't want the space itself to be annoying or difficult to move through. Once the mesh was ready, I exported it, and it was time to decide what engine to use. For the type of game I'm making, Unreal felt like overkill, especially considering the low poly style I had in mind, so it was between Unity and Godot. Unity was my go-to engine for many years, but after watching its company's many bad decisions, and seeing Godot getting better with every release, while also getting traction in the indie scene, I figured this was as good a time as any to learn something new. Not to mention, Godot is open source and extremely lightweight, so I started working on basic player movement. After I was happy with it, I then moved on to program some basic interactions, like opening doors, sitting down, and moving the control levers. At this moment, I also implemented tank controls for the vehicle itself, but more on that a bit later. To improve the game's visuals, I then added some smoke effects, lighting, volumetric fog, snowfall, and a snow deformation system. I also added a CRT filter to capture the found footage horror vibe. At this point I was really happy with how the visuals were turning out. It had that exact retro aesthetic I was going for with some modern effects to create a very nice atmosphere. Now, let's finally take a look at the driving with all the effects implemented. Lastly, I installed the Terrain 3D add-on so I could figure out how to sculpt and texture the environment, while also creating a simple wave shader for some coastal scenes I had in mind. So that's where the game is for now. I'm currently working on the layout for the tutorial level and the mechanics related to the car engine like fueling, repairing, and the storage system for supplies. I plan to share those when ready. If anyone watching has any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment. And if you're interested in the game, please let me know. Although this is mainly a project to boost my portfolio, I do plan to eventually release it on Steam, and it would be great to get a sense of how many people would like a game like this. Thanks for watching.